I'm very grateful because I know what a tough business this is, and I know a lot of young actors or guys who would be actors trying to break into the business. For me to be around today is astonishing. I look in the mirror and think, you have to keep a spirit of gratitude, I guess.
What happens when one of cinema's most legendary actors quietly despises working with certain Hollywood A-listers? Anthony Hopkins' 5-decade career has produced iconic performances from Hannibal Lecter to King Lear. But behind his distinguished reputation lies an actor with zero tolerance for unprofessional colleagues. The Welsh master, who memorizes scripts backward and forward, has never hesitated to express disdain for performers who fail to meet his exacting standards. From method actors whose techniques he finds laughable to A-list stars who show up unprepared, Hopkins' professional feuds reveal shocking divides about what it means to be a serious artist versus a mere celebrity. These conflicts expose the hidden battlegrounds where old-school discipline clashes with modern Hollywood ego, creating tensions that have shaped some of cinema's most memorable productions in ways audiences never realize. 6. Mickey Rourke. Mickey Rourke's tumultuous journey through Hollywood's heights and devastating lows has become the stuff of cautionary legend, a trajectory that allegedly earned him a permanent place on Anthony Hopkins' professional blacklist. Once hailed as one of the most promising actors of his generation, with riveting performances in Diner and Barfly, Rourke's descent into boxing, plastic surgery disasters, and erratic behavior transformed him into an industry pariah by the late 1990s. Sources close to Hopkins suggest the Welsh master viewed Rourke's career choices as a fundamental betrayal of artistic responsibility, telling associates that talent without discipline is merely wasted potential. Industry insiders recall a proposed collaboration in the early 2000s when Rourke was attempting his comeback, only to have Hopkins reportedly withdraw after learning of the casting. Anthony doesn't believe in second chances when the first chance was squandered so spectacularly, revealed a longtime casting director who worked with both actors. The tension allegedly intensified during award season encounters, with Hopkins maintaining icy professionalism while privately expressing bewilderment at Hollywood's willingness to embrace Rourke's renaissance following The Wrestler. Film comment sources suggest Hopkins viewed Rourke's personal struggles as inexcusable self-indulgence, believing that true artists protect their instruments regardless of external pressures. Mickey represents everything Anthony despises about actors who prioritize personal drama over professional excellence, observed a veteran producer. Hopkins' final assessment proved characteristically blunt. Redemption belongs in churches, not on film sets where lives and careers depend on reliability. 5. Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe's meteoric rise to Oscar glory came shadowed by an equally impressive reputation for volcanic temperament and confrontational behavior that allegedly placed him squarely in Anthony Hopkins' crosshairs. The Australian powerhouse, whose intense performances in Gladiator and A Beautiful Mind established him as Hollywood royalty, simultaneously cultivated a notorious image for phone-throwing incidents, bar fights, and explosive on-set confrontations that reportedly appalled the disciplined Hopkins. Empire magazine sources reveal that Hopkins privately dismissed Crowe as a talented brute who mistakes aggression for authenticity, particularly after witnessing the younger actor's behavior during industry events. A prominent casting director recalled Hopkins declining a lucrative period drama specifically because Crowe was attached, stating he refused to work with actors who weaponized their insecurities. The philosophical divide deepened when Hopkins learned of Crowe's alleged mistreatment of crew members, viewing such behavior as antithetical to the collaborative spirit essential to great filmmaking. Industry veterans suggest Hopkins was particularly disturbed by Crowe's tendency to remain in character between takes, considering it an amateur affectation rather than serious method work. Anthony believes actors should be able to access their roles without terrorizing everyone around them, observed a longtime producer who worked with both performers. The tension crystallized during a chance encounter at the Cannes Film Festival, where Hopkins reportedly greeted Crowe with Arctic politeness before telling colleagues, "Greatness doesn't require throwing tantrums like a spoiled child." 4. Sean Penn. Sean Penn's reputation as Hollywood's most uncompromising dramatic force has earned him critical acclaim and Oscar Gold. Yet his mercurial intensity reportedly created an unbridgeable chasm with Anthony Hopkins' more calculated approach to the craft. Penn's volcanic emotional commitment, whether channeling grief in Mystic River or righteous fury in Dead Man Walking, represents a school of acting that Hopkins allegedly views as dangerously undisciplined and ultimately self-serving. Variety sources suggest Hopkins became particularly critical of Penn following the latter's political activism, not for his causes, but for what Hopkins perceived as attention-seeking behavior that overshadowed artistic achievement. Anthony believes actors should let their work speak, not their press conferences, revealed a veteran producer who attempted to pair the two legends in an unrealized prestige project. The collaboration dissolved when Hopkins reportedly expressed concerns about Penn's need to be the most passionate person in every room. Industry insiders recall tension during awards season gatherings, where Hopkins maintained cordial distance while privately questioning Penn's theatrical displays of emotion. A casting director noted Hopkins' alleged comment that Sean confuses suffering with acting when true artistry requires control over one's demons, not capitulation to them. The philosophical divide deepened over their contrasting approaches to character preparation, with Hopkins favoring technical precision while Penn embraced chaotic immersion. Hopkins' final assessment proved characteristically surgical. Intensity without intelligence is merely noise, and Sean has never learned the difference between feeling everything and understanding anything. 3. Marlon Brando. Marlon Brando's seismic impact on American cinema created tremors that reached every subsequent generation of actors. Yet his later career trajectory allegedly earned him Anthony Hopkins' profound disappointment rather than reverence. The revolutionary force who transformed acting with A Streetcar Named Desire and On the Waterway had, by Hopkins' estimation, squandered his transcendent gifts through laziness and contempt for his own craft. Hopkins' alleged criticism centered on Brando's notorious later career habits of refusing to memorize lines, reading dialogue from cue cards, and collecting massive paychecks for minimal effort in films like The Island of Dr. Moreau. Film comment sources suggest Hopkins viewed this behavior as a betrayal of everything serious actors represent, telling associates that Marlon chose to become a parody of his own genius. The Welsh master reportedly found Brando's improvisational approach during his prime years admirable, but considered his subsequent unprofessionalism inexcusable. Industry veterans recall Hopkins' private observations about the generational divide between method acting's pioneers and its inheritors. Anthony respected what Marlon created but despised what he became, noted a longtime casting director. Hopkins allegedly expressed particular disdain for Brando's legendary rudeness toward directors and fellow actors, viewing such behavior as antithetical to the collaborative spirit essential to great filmmaking. A prominent producer who worked with both actors observed Hopkins' growing frustration with Brando's influence on younger performers who mistook rebellion for artistry. The tension crystallized in Hopkins' reported final assessment. Marlon proved that natural talent without discipline ultimately destroys itself, leaving behind only the memory of what might have been. 2. Val Kilmer. Val Kilmer's extraordinary range and undeniable talent became overshadowed by his notorious reputation for on-set difficulty, creating a professional divide that allegedly placed him permanently beyond Anthony Hopkins' consideration for collaboration. The mercurial actor who delivered memorable performances in Heat, Tombstone, and The Doors simultaneously cultivated a legend for challenging directors, rewriting scripts, and creating atmospheric tension that reportedly appalled Hopkins' sense of professional decorum. Empire magazine sources reveal that Hopkins declined multiple projects specifically because Kilmer was attached, viewing the younger actor's behavior as fundamentally disrespectful to the collaborative process. Anthony heard enough stories about Val's antics to know they were incompatible, confided a veteran casting director who witnessed several aborted negotiations. The philosophical chasm deepened when Hopkins learned of Kilmer's alleged habit of staying in character between takes, considering such behavior an amateur affectation rather than serious method work. Industry insiders suggest Hopkins was particularly disturbed by reports of Kilmer's confrontations with directors like Joel Schumacher and Tony Scott. viewing such incidents as evidence of misplaced priorities. A longtime producer noted Hopkins' alleged observation that Val mistakes obstinacy for artistic integrity when true professionals serve the story rather than their own ego. The tension extended to their contrasting approaches to craft, with Hopkins favoring meticulous preparation while Kilmer embraced spontaneous rebellion. Hopkins' assessment of Kilmer's career trajectory proved prophetic, as the actor's difficult reputation eventually limited his opportunities in major productions. "Talent without discipline is merely chaos," Hopkins reportedly concluded, and Val never learned that respect is earned through professionalism, not demanded through defiance. 1. Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf's transformation from Disney Channel star to serious dramatic actor brought with it an increasingly erratic commitment to method acting that reportedly earned him Anthony Hopkins' withering disapproval. The young performer's notorious dedication to authenticity, including pulling out his own tooth for Fury and living homeless for The Peanut Butter Falcon, represented everything Hopkins allegedly despised about contemporary acting's self-indulgent extremes. Industry sources suggest Hopkins first encountered LaBeouf's intensity during early 2000s Hollywood gatherings, where the younger actor's philosophical pronouncements about living the truth reportedly left the Welsh master unimpressed. Anthony watched Shia pontificate about method acting like he invented it, when Anthony had been perfecting controlled technique for decades, revealed a prominent casting director who witnessed their initial meeting. The generational divide deepened when Hopkins learned of LaBeouf's various publicity stunts and performance art projects, viewing such behavior as attention-seeking rather than artistic exploration. Variety sources indicate Hopkins became particularly critical after LaBeouf's plagiarism, controversies, and public meltdowns, seeing them as evidence of an undisciplined mind masquerading as creative genius. Shia represents everything wrong with modern actors who mistake chaos for authenticity, Hopkins reportedly told associates during a private industry dinner. The tension crystallized during award season encounters, where Hopkins maintained Arctic politeness while privately expressing bewilderment at Hollywood's tolerance for LaBeouf's antics. A veteran producer who worked with both actors observed Hopkins' growing frustration with method actors who prioritize personal drama over professional excellence. Hopkins' final assessment proved characteristically surgical. True artistry requires mastery of one's instrument, not surrender to every impulse that masquerades as inspiration. Anthony Hopkins' legendary conflicts reveal an artist who prizes discipline over drama, craft over chaos. These tensions remind us that cinema's greatest moments often emerge from the collision between uncompromising vision and professional excellence. Subscribe for more Hollywood dynamics.